Do you find yourself out of place in a changing world? Are people going crazy, but you're the only one who can see it? Or perhaps your life is out of order, or maybe there's one area of your life you just can't seem to get right. Then there's a self-help guru out there for you. Today we discuss Jordan Peterson and more. VidarReturns. Our subject today is Jordan Peterson, but this may also apply to some other popular guru figures. Figures that we may be drawn to because of some particular dilemma we are facing at the time. Be the problem money, or stress, or love? No one is without life problems, and there's a guru for everyone. Every guru has some background story, often some entertaining tale of struggle from which they triumph. Jordan Peterson's background story is filled with battles of poor health, depression, and confrontations with cultural Marxists. He has studied deeply and taught psychology, a well-accredited university professor. He will help you with organizing your life and your room, and tell you reasons to help explain the radical hard left turn of Western politics in the last decade. His specialty is psychology, so his books lean toward thinking about thinking. He promotes personal responsibility, self-discipline, valuing oneself, mental balance and harmony, and largely all of this for the purpose that we can achieve whatever greater desires we may have in life. Now that's lots of good things there, so what's the problem? Receiving good advice from a knowledgeable professor or field expert? If successful, a guru like Peterson encourages a person to chase their goals in life until they can achieve them. That all sounds great, but what if our underlying desires are in conflict with our life purpose? They never show how many people set goals, achieve those goals, only to end up feeling empty at the end. Stand up straight, shoulders back, be responsible, but for what? There are countless numbers of people who have achieved that big promotion, or clean room, or other material self-goal only to end up more lost than when they began. The problem with gurus like Peterson is that they do not and cannot ever offer an all-encompassing doctrine for life, yet at the same time implying the illusion that they do. Just look at Peterson's book titled 12 Rules for Life. Add to that how Peterson's message appeals heavily to non-religious youth in Western societies where Christianity is in massive decline. And what does 12 rules for life mean? Some of his fans have blasphemously upheld it to the Christian Bible's 10 Commandments. These are incredibly lost individuals with twisted concepts of what even is right and wrong in the world. And Peterson isn't capable of telling them what's right or wrong. In Western countries, we've been fed a lifetime of television and movie illusions. Not all kind deeds are good, and not all punishment is bad. Context matters. But what is that context? Peterson can't answer that either. Is there a God? Should we believe in a God? Peterson can't even tell if he himself believes in a God or not. Here's a clip.
World, you wrestle with God. You don't casually say, I believe, because who knows? No one knows, right? We're separated from the infinite by death and ignorance. We don't know. We contend, we wrestle. And in that maybe we find our destiny. At least we find our purpose. We find something that justifies us to some degree. If I would say that insofar as you're deeply involved in that, like completely involved in that, thoroughly involved in that, then you have the right to say that you believe in God. And since I'm not like that 100% of the time, or even approximating the percent of the time that I would like to be like that, despite my best efforts, then when people ask me, I'm not going to say something virtuous like I'm a believer, because there's plenty wrong with me that needs to be fixed before I would dare utter words like that. Thank you.
Here, Peterson redefines the word believe to mean you can't believe in anything unless you're 100% committed to it and perfectly devoted to it 100% of the time, like some kind of robot. And then concludes, how dare anyone say that they believe in a God, because who are you to dare say believe? But that's a very twisted way of using the word believe and entirely evading the real answer. Why is he obfuscating everything and not just using the common definition of believe? Just ask any Christian pastor and they'll tell you that even the devil believes in God, because the devil knows who's in charge. Believing in something does not require devotion to it, yet Peterson evades and evades, and this is telling of much deeper holes in the message that he brings. Other telling signs of the holes in Peterson's message is how often he recites religious stories to his audience, but then meticulously intertwines it with references to philosophers like Nietzsche, Carl Jung, and author Dostoevsky. Peterson's a professor, a psychologist, and an expert at mincing words. To the title of this recording, Peterson is not a false prophet. He doesn't claim to be a prophet. He is what we would call an anti-prophet. He is the anti-deliverer. Rather than directing lost individuals toward an all-encompassing doctrine that could set them on their life path, he instead sells them a book and another book. Rather than directing people to clear discovery of what is good and evil in the world, he implicitly and ambiguously assumes the good and evil values of his audience, which feeds into the lost individual's pre-existing conceptions of good and evil in a hedonist and materialistic world filled with illusions, propaganda, and media-induced dreams. This recording isn't intended to hate on Jordan Peterson. This is a critique. For those that do have a foundational doctrine for life, then Peterson's message may help bolster their convictions toward excellence. But for his greater number of lost fans with no foundational doctrine, Peterson's message effectively works to detract people from a path which would bring a complete doctrine to their life. It's in this way that he is the anti-prophet. Many young men and women on a lost path of false illusions see or hear about Peterson. He shows up and verbally battles against cultural Marxists and the extreme left wing, which we perceive as evil, which makes him appear as a hero. Then he weaves a fancy tale that matches up with many of people's media-induced and materialistic values. And so people are drawn to Peterson, and he gains a great audience. But once he has such audience, what does he do? Does he dispel the illusions and propaganda we have been fed all our life? The subliminal propaganda we've been given since birth? No, he doesn't. He instead inspires people on how to become even better materialists and hedonists in our current world. To conclude, people can listen to someone like Jordan Peterson and improve their attitude and improve their relationships and more, all while losing their existence. We will be lost and the future will be lost if we don't have a foundational doctrine to guide us in building it. We must specifically build it for the good and excellent people of today and those of generations to come. Call it a philosophy or call it a religion, an all-encompassing doctrine for life should encourage us to seek a life of mental and physical purity and excellence. Seek a healthful life in harmony with nature, invest into the future while also rejecting materialism and pleasure indulgence. Build a future of strong, like-minded children, families, and communities. A strong community is more than just neighbors kindly saying hi on the street. A strongly built community is our extended family. These objectives are what we must be working toward, aligning with our life purpose. Dispel illusions of what propaganda and media outlets have conditioned us to think is valuable in life. Now's the time if you haven't seen our previous recording titled Virtual Reality versus Actual Reality, Zuckerberg's Metaverse and the Future of Addiction. Also follow now to stay updated with all our content. We're on Steemit, Gab, Minds, and ODYSEE networks, and live chat on the Matrix and Session networks. Links for everything in the description. We send out love to all our brothers and sisters. Stay blessed. VidarReturns.